We're just waiting for Gaopie to join us. Oh, entrance. You gave us an empty frame and then you came in to make a grand entrance. We love it.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. This is really, really dope. I'm looking forward to this chat.
Dope.
Dope.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I want to tell everyone who you are as everyone joins into the live. Welcome to Rewriting the Script every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Here with SA Creatives. We're joined today by Gaopie Kabe, who is a director of photography, who has worked on amazing shows. She's award-winning, never leave that part out, on amazing shows like Lockdown, and shot a lot of films that you might recognize, Valedictory, the movie, Inside Man, Kissing Booth, A Measure of a Woman, Hope, The Hustle, Soul Sessions, Creative Union. If we go through your whole CV, we're going to be here all night. So basically, what everyone just needs to know is that she's a boss ass. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. How we're starting all of these sessions is, the first question is, what is it about a story?
What is it about a story? I like that question. I haven't heard that question before. What is it about a story? No, that's dope. For me, it is, that's a difficult question.
Out the gate.
Yeah, I'm going to think a little bit on that one. I don't know actually. What is it about the story?
Yeah, what is it that grabs you first?
Oh, okay. I guess that's a bit better broken down. What grabs me first in a story always for me is good narrative. Like if what ticks the boxes for me is like having all the great elements of conflict, of love, of resolution, not always resolution, that's actually arguable for me, but
yeah,
a great dark narrative for me is what the story is.
Okay. For me too, that's my favorite. If it's a little bit dark, even if it's humor, comedy, whatever the genre is, but if it's got a little bit of darkness, it's got a little bit more texture that you can kind of bite into, which I really enjoy. Okay, so I want to explain to people kind of what is a DOP, because the term is always thrown around, and like, what is a director of photography? What is it that you do?
So the director of photography, I say, is like the director's right-hand man or woman, or left-hand man or woman, is the chief, the head, the person that's in charge of creating what we finally see on our TVs. So is the chief of lighting and camera,
and those two. Okay.
Yeah. So my responsibility as a director of photography would be to take the director's vision and the script writers and put it into a visual form, translate that into a visual form using lighting to paint the picture and the camera to capture it.
I have such immense amounts of respect for like DOPs, lighting technicians, because of how exactly what you say is that kind of taking that and putting it on the screen. We've had a lot of writers and directors and different things, but we actually haven't had someone of your skill set on the show. So it's really nice to kind of see the different ways that women can be and represented in this industry. Every article, everything about you is always thriving in a male-dominated space. The only woman who is conquering this thing, shattering ceilings. Like, how does she do it? How do you feel about holding that title and the responsibility of it?
You know, that title is such a burden. I've come to a point where I just feel every time somebody says, "Oh man, you're like the only female of color that's doing what you're doing at, you know, at the caliber that you're doing," and I'm just like, no, that is not right. That cannot be right.
Yeah.
In a place where there's how many people? 50, how many are we in South Africa? 54,
Millions.
50 millions, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
place where there's so many of us, why would I be the only one? That doesn't make any sense, you know. So it's become a very heavy thing, you know. At the beginning, it used to be a thing of it. It feels like it's a highlight.
Yeah, like an accolade, like, oh, it's
It's an
just me.
accolade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as I've been growing and growing and growing, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to be the only one. It's too the responsibility is a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Do
a
you feel like you're carrying every woman's on your back who has any kind of technical skill? So where are the women?
there are other female cinematographers, but there are a handful of us, you know.
Okay.
There are coming up female technicians, female in the camera department, you know. I always make sure that on every project that I do, I try and train about 2 girls.
Dope. Dope.
And I've been doing this for since I've been in the position of an HOD, you know. Even when I wasn't, actually, even when I was still putting focus, I'd always try and get somebody to train, to always train. So there's, like, I'd say a handful of cinematographers that are female, and there are upcoming I think the upcoming gang is going to be a lot. It's going to be fire. Yeah. There's an upcoming gang of female creatives and technicians that are going to be that are going to be the most.
Do you think that, in your opinion, are females sort of led away from the technical skills in film school, in entering in intern positions, and kind of pushed towards more non-technical departments?
I think when I started over 15 years ago, there was a slight discouraging tone, you know, to females that were keen to do the technical work. I mean, as it is, we still don't have like gaffers and grips, so electricians and grips, females in South Africa. Like, I've known one, you know, in the time that I've been in the industry, and they're now no longer. The one lady is no longer, she passed on, and the other lady is Saskia. She runs a crewing agency.
Okay.
So at the beginning there was the beginning there was a lot of discouraging. I was told many times to forget it, like it's not gonna happen. Like, forget it. But the people that I know now, like the DPs that I know and focus pullers, male or female, they're always encouraging to hire girls, to hire as many girls as possible. So no, I don't think it's been discouraged. I think if anything, it's been encouraged. I think there is a bit of a drive to get a lot
to get more female representation.
Yeah, in the
technical skills.
In technical department.
So I know you're quite passionate about transformation, and obviously in the work that you do, you're always trying to empower and send the elevator down and bring up the next female. So in that, what are the barriers of entry? Because if you don't bring those 2 females, for example, to train up, is there anyone else? Do you see these people on set, or is it just all lip service at this point?
Like, I'll talk about the folks that I know, you know, the folks that have similar ideas and that are trying to see the industry change. I've seen like a person like Tiani, he was on just now. Like Tiani
Let's see.
always, yeah, Tiani always hires female assistants, trainees. He always department, and a few other guys are also doing it. You know, so it's not just. It could be better, you know. The agent that I'm at, exposure, like we've had a chat amongst us as DPs, and everybody is for the movement, you know. They for the movement of seeing transformation happen, you know. But obviously it's happening at a very slow pace, you know. It's happening in a very slow pace, especially in spaces where like a lot more money is involved, you know, like on the big budget things.
Yes.
You know, and in the local drama spaces, you will find a lot of Black folk and a lot of people of color that are HODs that are running shit, you know. But the moment you go on the commercial side of things, and like international films or international series, then you start seeing that there is a lack of transformation in those spaces, because you would producing or selling Black content, but it does not like when you look on set and see the people that have
The numbers aren't
impact.
adding up.
Yeah, when the people that have impact and people that have a word and a say towards the product that's been produced, you get to see that it's a lot of white folks on those in those HOD positions, you know. So it doesn't translate to me. From now I find it a bit worrying. It doesn't translate, like, oh, okay, or you'd put like the director, you know, for an example, to as a person of color, and then everybody else surrounding her or him would be a white HOD.
So it's kind of like a bit of a window dressing, right? Because you get the Black points and you get the Black vote because your director is Black, right? Or a person of color, fine. But when you actually just take off that one layer, every other key decision maker is a white person. So when we say HOD, just for those that are joining, is that's a head of department. On every set there'll be departments. There's an art department, a wardrobe department, makeup department, camera department, etc. And the HOD runs those departments. So it's interesting. I want to take you to what you just said, is that within the drama and television space, you're seeing a bit of transformation. You're seeing Black faces, you're seeing HODs, but it's not translating as soon as the budget jumps, and it's not translating as soon as the project is considered more risky, and it's bigger. So are you then saying that we're trusted with smallanyana budgets?
Yeah, you know, like I feel like there is a sense of lack of trust and a lack of belief in Black creatives in those spaces, you know. I feel like there is an acknowledgement that we can do the job, you know, because we've been doing it. Mara, go na le di-doorkeepers, doorkeepers, and Chesty mentioned something very cool just now in the comments. Agencies must be called out on this, because they're the ones that actually, at the end of the day, make these final decisions on who to hire, you know.
So who is doing the hiring? So for someone who doesn't understand, who is doing the hiring? Is it the producer? Is it the production house? Is it the agency? Is it the client?
It's so confusing. I've been having these chats, and even now I still don't have a straight answer, you know. Sometimes let's say the production house would say, the producers would say, we put your names forward to the agency, and then the agency makes the final decision. So I've heard that quite a lot. I've been told that quite a lot on commercials that I didn't get. They were like, yeah, you know, I know the director wanted to use you, but we're sorry. The agency said that they need to go with, so that always have somebody, either agency
is
or
everyone using everyone else
client.
as a scapegoat?
It feels like it to me. It feels like there's always like a shift of no, the agency saying they're not, you know, they'd rather go with somebody that they are used to, because, you know, there's a 3 mil budget or 4 million, whatever. So so we put your name forward, but they came back with their own names. I like, it's happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
It's so boring. It's so boring, you know, and you look at the director, and because at the end of the day, the connections between you and the director, and you know, Kim Pinjao, and you know each other, type of a thing. And they like sort of, their hands are cut off, you know, hands cut off. It's
So do
tied,
you then,
story, you can't do anything about it, type of a thing.
so everyone's kind of, their back is against the wall, because at the end of the day you have to eat as well, right? You need to do the job.
Yeah. You know, it's also, there's a lot of reputation things involved. You know, there's a lot of the best one, that the best excuses that I've been hearing recently, especially with like the more younger directors, you know, again, agency, somebody
Agencies were calling you out, dog. We're calling you out.
somebody paying the money, you know, or somebody paying them, somebody involved paying the money, would not be comfortable with, because the director is sort of not very experienced, you know. They need to be paired up with somebody that's a lot more experienced, so in terms of the technical side.
But
And I
you've
get
been in the
it.
industry for 15 years. So tell me, how much more experience do you need, right? You've shot feature, short, documentary, you've shot short form, long form commercials. I mean, you know, just like Google your name. So how much more experience? How much more experience? What's got to give? Like, what do you need to shoot in order to be the one who has that experience?
So within the commercial space, they say you have to have a lot of commercials to be considered an experienced commercial DP, you know, a different range, different products. So they need to see like a versatility and all of that stuff. I mean, I get it to a point, you know, but at the same, and I feel like there's a lot more responsibility that comes with feature filmmaking, and dramas. I'm not gonna take away drama, like the responsibility is just as paramount. So I don't know.
Okay.
It goes back to that doorkeepers thing, you know. There's a thing in some of those spaces where a lot of money is involved, and it feels like the money is just circulating amongst the same folks, you know. It's almost like keeping it in the family.
So do you as
Yeah.
creatives then have collective bargaining together, or what is this field like as DPs to kind of be like, you know what, this is our bottom line, this is what we're going to take, this is what we're not going to take? Is there an idea, is there any kind of drive to kind of come together and be like, you guys need to do better, gatekeepers need to be removed, and as a collective we're going to do something about it?
You know, the nice, not nice, but it's unfortunate with the lockdown. You know, that it's we had a pandemic, and it was so crazy for a lot of folks. But the one thing that it did bring to a lot of us like creatives is it just showed the distance, you know, and the separation almost. We like at my agent, like with my agent, we with the guys we have these Monday talks, and we have been speaking about things like transformation rates, you know, but it's such uncomfortable conversations.
Very, yeah.
It's really uncomfortable because people value themselves and look at themselves accordingly to what their experience is. They I don't know how people see them. You know,
Yes, yes, yes.
so as much as we would like to and be a collective and march on to like ed, to the ed spaces and agencies, I think it's a hard thing, you know. I think all of us would love to like, hey, let's transform, let's make this an equal industry, but there always comes a point where it's like, but how can it be equal? Because but I'm more experienced and I've done this and I've da 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 and I'm da 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 da. So because we're not unionized, will always be this will always be a struggle, you know, where there'll
We
always be
work in
somebody
like silos, separate from
yes,
each other. Yeah.
there'll always be somebody cheaper that can do the job, you know.
So have you reached that point in your career where this is my bottom line and I won't do anything for whatever this is, for X amount of hours? This is my bottom line.
No. No.
Mm.
I mean, there is a rate that like you go, okay, this is your like minimum rate type of a thing.
Yeah.
But it gets tricky because with different projects, you know, I've come to negotiate, thinking about story in mind, you know, about what is it that I'm actually going to need technically, like so so I start bargaining with the producers on my rate and like getting special gear and getting special lenses. So I'd be like, okay, maybe we don't have to do this rate, and then can you then give me XYZ on these days, or like so I push. So just
Yes.
take the whole like technical budget and you just try and go, okay, cool, let's see how we can work it out. Let's see how we can work out so that everybody's happy, so that also the people that I work with, like all the sparks, all the electricians, they're also getting good rates, because I can have a good rate, but if it's not filtrating down, then what ends up happening is you have the people that are supposed to be balancing you get very unhappy. So
I want to talk about that because you're the leader of that crew in essence, right? The technical skills and everyone, and everyone knows there's a huge pay gap between, you know, crew and what crew's getting and what everybody else is getting. The technical crew. So how do you balance that in terms of what is your style in getting everyone to feel valued, not just financially, but also that like your role on this matters?
I on each and every project, I speak to my peeps. I'm like, yo, what are you getting paid? You know, and we're looking at
okay. So
what's
you're
happening.
transparent with it. Let's see what everyone's getting paid.
Like,
yeah.
Like obviously we don't have. I'm not having a discussion with as a group, but I'll go to each individual at the beginning of the project, or sometimes I just talk to like the gaffer, who's like the HOD for electricians, for lighting, and the key grip, and we'll discuss everybody's rates, you know, and we'll talk about gear and lighting and grips gear, on what do we need? Do we need this? Because if we don't need this, then we can take that money and put it towards a trainee, you know.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I always try and make sure for it, everybody sorted, because on long form, if people are not happy, then
They won't work.
not only do we have the workload to carry, then we also have the people and the people's unhappiness to carry.
Yes.
And that could get in the way of making work happen and making things run smoothly, you know. So yeah, the rate thing it's a hard. I'm not there yet. One day.
I completely understand you. Sometimes you can't. And if you are a leader in a, like, if I'm running a room, I need to know exactly what each writer is getting paid, because their commitment to the job is going to be much more if they're getting paid well. I need to also make sure that they're not taking other work whilst trying to do this. Because then the deliveries are going to be slack, and lackluster. So I think that for anyone watching this, is that transparency with your team as to how much you're getting paid is so important if you're going to lead a team and you need them and you do rely on them so heavily.
Yeah. No, very much so. Like, it's, otherwise, sure, you are on a shoot for 10 weeks with unhappy people because their rates are not great. And it's happened to me in the past, it's happened to me in the past, especially at the beginning when I was starting to DP. Like, I wouldn't get myself involved. I didn't get myself involved in people's rates. I'm just like, yo, you got your...
Every man for himself.
not really, but also everybody sort of comes from agencies. So
Yes, okay.
So I'm like, the representation should do the right thing. Whoever is representing these folks should be doing the right thing. But as we went on, and you get confident in your position, you know what you need to be doing as the leader. So you start having these chats. You start having these chats with your loaders, with your focus pullers at the beginning. Actually, even before they sign the contracts, because the producers do tell me, okay, this is how much we have for this person, this is how much we have for that person, and.
Yes, okay. I want to ask you about Lockdown, which is such a successful and beautiful, beautiful show. And like what I've really enjoyed, and we had Ria on the show a couple weeks ago, is like the deliberate female representation in key roles on that show. So how did you assemble your crew?
I think the in my first meeting with Black Brain, with the guys at Black Brain and Mandla, in that first meeting already I knew this is gonna be a lot. Like, it's a story. What's a story? It's a story about women in prison,
Yeah.
And immediately I just knew. But it didn't really change anything for me, because the guys that I work with, in the first, second, third, fourth, all the seasons, everywhere I go, I try to keep the same rule, in my team. It has to be at least 60% woman of color. First, in camera department. It's unfortunate that I can't do much about lighting and grips at the moment, but immediately I knew that that this team has to be, if I could, I would have had it all female, which we almost did in season 1.
I heard about that. I thought that was like revolutionary. Yeah.
And then in season 5 as well, we were almost there. Like, we almost there, like 80% female.
So is it too radical then, Gaopie, to say to DOPs all over the country that, we're not even 50% female?
Yeah.
Is it too radical? Is it possible, like 50% female and 50% females of color?
It's not.
Is it like, can it be done?
You know what? It is not too radical. It can be done. But it can be done. All that needs to happen is for the process of transformation to happen at a more rapid rate. So what I mean is that people cannot be sitting in positions now for 10 years. Like, there's no need to be sitting anymore, unless if you really want to do that certain, like for example, people shouldn't be sitting as focus pullers for 20, for 15 years, 10 years, you know, unless
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
really want to make unless if you really want to make pull and focus a career, which is also
Okay.
possible, you know.
Can you
But
explain quickly what focus pulling is, just for people who might not know what that term
so
means?
so the focus puller is like the first camera assistant. They are in charge of the camera department, you know. I'm supposed to be in charge, but they're actually the bosses. You know,
Yeah.
they are there for the day-to-day running of what we need in the camera department. If there's additional gear that needs to come in, they are in charge of that.
Mm-hmm.
And their main their main thing is to make sure that the focus of what we're filming, you know, of the picture is sharp,
Okay.
versus blurry.
Yeah.
So
So in
yeah.
layman's terms, if you're holding your iPhone and that little square where you press to focus on a set, someone physically does that for you. The phone, what the phone can do, someone has to do it on a camera. Okay, cool. Just to
Yes,
clarify
yeah.
that.
I mean, it's not that simple because they have the
Can
hardest.
you see
They
my
have the
technical
hardest job.
skills?
So I
So
mean, you explained it nicely, but yeah, they have the hardest job. Shame, focus pullers. I always feel sorry
shout
for
out
them.
to focus pullers. So how do
Focus
you then deal
pullers.
with your crew? I'm really interested in what's your leadership style? Are you loud? Are you not? I mean, are you like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada? Like where you at? Where you at to cultivate, and what's the energy, and what's your leadership style?
And definitely not loud.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um I come from that background where people used to shout and they're so loud, and you know, people will just the leadership style of fearing, you know, of being feared, you know,
Yes, yes.
versus being respected. So now I'm opposite. I would rather you respect me than fear me. So I'm very open, and I would say approachable leadership style.
Mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
I try and make sure that my doors open all the time, so that if you have an issue that needs to be dealt with, you can just easily come to me or direct it to your HOD, and your HOD can relate, you know,
And bring that to you.
and bring it
Yeah.
to my attention. But it's taken me a while, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very
that was
much,
going to be the follow-up, is that how did you get there without having to perform
yeah.
power?
Yeah, you know, to be honest, because I worked my way up from being a trainee, and and then I became a loader, which is second camera assistant,
Mm.
and then a focus puller, and then I operated for a couple of years, and
Mm-hmm.
then a GP. So the people in the industry have seen me from the get-go. You know, people
Okay.
have seen me, and they've seen the struggles, they've seen how I got there. So I I haven't had to command respect. It has just come natural. But also I do believe in yo, let's respect each other. You know,
Yeah. Mm.
when you walk on the set, whatever behavior you do at your house, or how you ubaba endlini, when you get here, share ubaba there at the door, because here
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you are XY and I am ZX, you know?
Yes.
And you are
Yes.
gonna respect me for who I am, and I'm gonna respect you for who you are. You know, I'm not very that power thing, that not for me, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a collaboration. Like, I cannot stress this. Filmmaking is not a one-man show, you know.
It's definitely not.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's
you,
definitely not.
at the end, some people like get credit, 1-1, but that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not a one-man show, you know. I cannot do anything without the team, and they need to know from the beginning, "Jorge, I cannot do this without you. If you let me down, you're letting the whole system down, you know.
Yes,
I let you
yes.
down. I'm letting the whole system down. It's like playing football and not having a goalkeeper.
You
You
need
know?
everyone, and
You
everyone's
need,
role
you
is
need
important.
everyone, and
Yeah.
everyone's role is important. So the respect thing is, I preach, like, let it be mutual,
Mm.
you know, and yeah, and it's
Okay.
it's come a long way. It's come.
Dope, dope. I mean, your journey's been really inspiring because you have worked your way up. Everyone has seen what you've done. So it kind of makes it a little bit different, which is really nice to see. I want to tell everyone that's watching, if you have any questions for Gaopie, please feel free to put them on. I can see them all and I will be asking them. What I want to know is, how do you cultivate your relationship with your director? Because you guys are in essence the parents of this thing. This is your child, right? So how do you cultivate your relationship with it? Do you get to know them personally first? Do you go out for drinks and get hammered so that you guys so that you know who they really are? You know, like what do you do in order to get, because you have to get to that relationship pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had a privilege of working with the directors that I've worked with were not friends before. We weren't
Mm.
friends before. They were folks that I just met, and we're gonna do this thing, and we have the same vision in mind and the same goal. You know,
Mm.
not all relationships have been great.
Yes, yes.
Some of them have been completely sour, not sour, but you know, you don't have things in common, you don't have same principles, you don't have the same
Style.
style, or not even style, because it's cool to have a different style, you know,
Mm.
with
Mm.
with the next person, especially if they're director, because then it always brings up the flavor, you know. It always
Yes,
gives you
okay.
something to think about, something that you didn't look at a certain way before, you know. And that's what filmmaking is about. But then people with like when you don't have the same principles or same life ethics, you know, then it becomes hard to try and go on a journey with a person that you don't see eye to eye. Then it becomes a job.
So it's so interesting because you spoke about your respect before, and people do have different ways in which they. So if yours is for everyone to fear, but yours is for everyone to respect, I imagine that there might be a clash at some point in how you handle the project.
Yeah, there's
Mm.
always clashes. There's always clashes. There's um the people that I work with would say that I get to a point where sometimes I get to like argumentative, in a point
Mm.
of, if I believe in something and I'm passionate about it, you know, I will try and sell it to you. I will try and sell it to you as much as I can as the
You
director.
fight for your vision.
Yeah, especially if we're not seeing eye to eye. Like, especially if we don't, you know, we're not on the same
Yes,
page. Because
yes.
it's an energy thing as well. You know, the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that it has a lot to do with energy and
Mm-hmm.
just good vibes. You know, I don't have time for people with no good vibes. But the fights on set, that's a very it's not an
Common occurrence.
abnormal thing. Pardon?
I'm saying, it's a common occurrence because there's different ways of working, right? What do you do if the creative choice, if you are just vehemently against the creative choice that a director has, that you just like, this is not it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, it's the director's vision, right? I'm there to go, okay, great, this is your vision, but I can also offer you this, and I can offer you that, and I can offer you that, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
if they go, no, I don't want few of those options, then I'll be like, okay, I tried, let's go with your way, with the way that you see fit. I mean,
Okay.
it's very rare also, you know. But when those instances do happen, sometimes you just gotta state it and go, just for the record, email, guys, to all the creators, all the people that are involved. This was a suggestion, and
Yes.
it wasn't, so that later on, if something
If a problem
backfires,
arises.
because things do backfire, you know, and you cannot be the person that was just sitting there not saying anything. Say something so that it's known, so that you don't look, oh, it will be no.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no. It's just because, you know, we're talking about the color of a wall, because sometimes it's those kind of conversations. It's like, no, I feel like this needs to be a little bit darker. No. So
I'm
you
with
know,
you.
because also it's different departments. You've got your production designer, you've got your director, and sometimes you'll be like 3 people against 1 person, you know. So then in
So
that
you have
case,
to kind of deal with that.
you're like, yeah,
Okay.
you know, much respect, I hear you, that's fine if you guys are all favoring this color, but just for the record, you know, I did think a darker color would work better for this room, so that later on.
That's it. So
Yeah.
speaking about, if we're speaking about representation and all of that, we got a really interesting question, which is that how do DOPs shape representation on screen, like with gender, race, etc. Since you're shaping what we're actually going to see. But I'd like to actually just tune that question to say, how do you represent women on screen? I find that I can always almost tell if there's been a female or a male director in a scene where there is women and how they're represented. If a female has shot it or a male shot, what's your approach in that way?
Respect. We have to respect our actors, you know. We have to respect our talent, male or female. But for example, on lockdown, where there is 80% female cast, you know, we have to treat things with sensitivity, you know. Obviously not all scenes require that, but most of the subject matter would have to be treated with sensitivity. So I always like, yeah, I'm always like, Amanda, we like fighting for, not fighting, but, you know, pushing for the respect thing, pushing that.
Because you
No
don't
female.
always have to go low, right? You don't always have to go low. You don't always have to go front. It doesn't always have to be such a sexualized image in order to have production value.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's kind of between those two. Okay, cool. What award is the one that will, for you, feel like you've completely made it? The question was, obviously you're going to reach all these heights and do all these things. What is the one award that you would love to get, that you would love to work for, that will like cement to you that Yazin, I've made it now?
Who asked that? Did Chesty ask that?
Of course she did. Of course she did.
Great question. I think I've thought about this, and you know, you do like your vision board.
Yes,
You
yes.
know? And I think when I started shooting, I was like, yeah, if I can win an Oscar, you know, if I can win an Oscar one day for cinematography, for the best feature, I would have thanked you, you know.
Yeah.
And then in the last couple of years, my vision board has changed slightly, you know, because I don't work with an award in my mind, you know. I think what's awarding would be for every project that I put my hand on to turn into gold, you know. I think that would be more awarding than receiving. I mean, hey man, I'm lying. An Oscar would be great.
I mean, it would be great. I'm just like, keep talking, girl. But an Oscar would be nice. I mean,
An Oscar would be great. An Oscar and a BAFTA would both be amazing, you know.
Okay. Dope. So now we put it out into the universe now. So now it's definitely going to come. That's it. I want to know about lighting. We got a really interesting question about lighting and lighting dark skins, different skin tones. Do you feel like we're doing good in that department? Are we not doing good in general when DPs light about lighting our skin tones? Because sometimes people are coming out orange, Gaopie, I'll tell you. Sometimes I'm watching things, people are looking orange or they're looking green or they're looking gray. So what's your take on how we're being lit? And is there enough information on how to light black skin?
No. So black skin tones haven't been treated. So it goes back to film stock days, right? It goes back to the technology of what film and what was created. So the film was not really created for black skin tone. So everything that came after that, even in like the technology that we have right now in high definition cameras, still they base their thing from film, right? So not enough technology has been invested in treating black skin tones, you know. But I've been fortunate enough to be involved in a few conversations with like different colorists and like Da Vinci, which is like a coloring, you call it company almost, and lens companies for that topic, you know, like we need to change the technology and we need to adapt the technology so that we know how to stop and how to light for black skin tones, you know. I also I get one out about orange color. You know, you're not orange. I'm like, my skin tone is not orange. You're not orange. You know, so why is it that we would appear orange on TV? And I never got, like, I did not get it. Like, I didn't. That's the one thing that I never got before I started shooting. But then I realized that it's a combination of a few things. You know, it's the technology, it's not knowing how to light black skin tones, and then coloring. You know,
it's very important as well.
Coloring in post-production to treat your skin tones to be as natural as closest to what they look like on set. That's what the aim should be, you know. Or for me, I mean, everybody's got their own different liking of, you know, different things, and that's not wrong, you know, because we all have different shades of black, and we all have things that we like and we don't like, just as long as we don't look like aliens or we don't look weird you know,
on the screen.
On the screen. But I feel like there are a lot of people that are doing their best, like movies that we're seeing now, like where black skin tones are looking
beautiful.
beautiful.
Are looking completely what is your the thing that like drives you creatively when you see something or read a script or whatever? Where does your head go when you read a script or your approach for a project? Where do you go first? Do you look at the characters? Do you think only in pictures? Where does your mindset go as soon as you see something?
That's also like a thing that's developing with every script. So the more I read, the better I feel like it's becoming. At first, the first few scripts that I received for series, I would read and stop. I would read a scene and stop because I'd have so many visions coming at me. You know, and I feel like I'd have to write everything down. Right. And but the more scripts I started reading, I have gotten into a mode of reading the story, read the entire thing, understand the entire story, you know, see where this narrative is going, you know, because sometimes I would have made decisions reading it first time but then finding out that the character's development has gone left,
in a different
you
way.
know, in
Yes.
different
Yeah.
ways. So now what I do, I read the whole thing like a reader, just reading, normal reading, and then I go back. So when I go back the second time to read it again, now I know where the characters are going. You know, now I've got the arc, I've got the story arc. So now it's all I can plan. I can plan for these characters. I can plan for the story, whether the story is getting lighter or whether the story is getting darker, or it's becoming intense, or you know, is there a resolution at the end? Is there no resolution? So then I can start planning the scenes according to what I already know.
Okay.
So yeah, what grips me is not really character. The characters, no, not really.
That's okay.
but no. But when you start shooting, it's the characters that modify what I've read, because then they're bringing what you wrote, you know, to the table. They're interpreting it differently to how I read it, or to how the director read it. And then this is when the brains come in together and they're bringing what you wrote, your vision, to life.
That's
So
dope.
yeah.
That's dope. At least you want to engage with the story. Sometimes you deal with technical people who are like, yeah, story's great, but let me show you what I'm going to do with my lights. You know?
Nah, I'm not. No, I used to be like that. I used to be very much like it's about tactics and what I can do. It's, oh, look at what I can do. And I realize you can do all of that shit, do it. But if the story is not there, if the
There's
story
nothing.
is
Yeah.
crap, not even your actors can help you. You know. So I'm very much driven by the narrative.
That's dope. That's dope. I want to ask you in the last few minutes to really speak about, because a lot of the feedback we've been getting when, you know, we announced you as the guest for this week is that how does one break in and do what you do? You know, where do you go? Where do you start? That kind of thing. Obviously, you went to school and studied cinematography, but how do you break into this industry where, as you say, there's only a handful of female DPs?
So I went to school, but I didn't do the traditional film school like your AFDA or Wits film school. So I went to Boston and I dropped out in the second year, right? To start training. So my advice to aspiring cinematographers is to always look at, so here's the nice thing, right? Right now, technology is working for us. You know, there are so many online cinematography, how to become it, like basic, not course, it's not even a course. It's just a way into showing you how to light, how to get things better, right? So I would say if you can get your hands on a camera, whatever camera it is, shoot.
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 Yeah.
You know, um there's agencies that people can join. You know, it's not the easiest way also, because some of these agencies you have to get in through a reference, right? But I always say to young folks, try your media film services. So the companies that provide gear, like gear houses,
Okay.
your Panavision, your media film houses, your digital film, they're always like looking for a trainee or somebody to train. You know, when the batch of the people that are there that are moving on to set, because we also meet a lot of trainees at media film services or at like my current trainee, I met her at Panavision.
Okay. So that's where people need to be.
Yeah, be in gear houses, because in rental houses, this is where DPs, focus pullers, camera assistants go. This is also their home. They go there to check gear, to return gear. and what other way to meet people, right? You'll be getting taught how to use this gear, at the same time meeting people that are already in the industry.
This is, you see, this is why these conversations are important, because that is a piece of insight and generous information that you wouldn't know outside
Yeah.
of this, you know?
Yeah, I mean that, and then there's the old school way of looking at credits. You know, look at credits and see and look who the cinematographer is, the director is, the producer, the production houses, and now everybody's got like Instagram and
Yeah.
Facebook. Holler at them, you know, knock in those DMs.
Just do it.
Hurry, what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, slide into those DMs. I can't tell you how many people write to me like in a week, you know, and I wish that there was a way for me to do something about it.
But you're hiring 2 trainees on every single set that you get on. And I think that with all of the women that I've been having these discussions with, is that there is something being done. It's difficult. It is difficult, but I think that if we have those bottom lines of at least 50% women on this project, guys, then we'll be making real progress.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you so much for all of the information you've imparted, for telling us your story, and for really being willing to kind of put your back and put your mouth and your face where the conversation is, that we need transformation in these spaces. We need the gatekeepers to step back. We need agencies to open up the doors for more people. And we need more females in technical skills, because we can do it, as Gaopie is clearly showing us. So thank you so much, Gaopie.
Cool. Thank you again for the invite. This has been a really great conversation. And thank you to everybody that's all the comments and everything. And Chesty, man, one love, lady.
Thank you so much, Gaopie. We really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week for Rewriting the Script, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Thank you so much, Gaopie. Rewriting the Script. Thanks, guys.